and welcome back to Good Soup Games. I'm Graf, and today I want to touch on my perfected Crucible build after weeks of grinding. Just check out these few clips from Trials this weekend, and then let's get into the build.
1 minute left, my friend. Only one enemy is left. Only one enemy is left. Only one enemy is left.
So when this dropped for me last week, with the exact role I wanted, I was elated. Ophidian Aspects and Claw. Ophidian Aspects just so that my weapons feel better, and Claw so I don't have to rely on Arcane Needle because it kind of sucks, but I was using it for 3 times Lightning Surges. If you don't already know, Spirit of Ophidian gives 35 handling to all weapons. If you're still grinding, there is good news. This guy, as of this week, will begin to start selling class items in his inventory. Note that these will be random after this first week. This build is all about stopping your enemies in their tracks, instantly deleting them, which is perfect in this hunter heavy meta that we're currently in, with Threaded Spectre running rampant, constant dodge freezes, and snare bombs for added frustration, because that's just what we needed. I'm using Phoenix Dive paired with Helion as my class ability and aspects of choice to turn into an AC 130 at a distance, which is fantastic. Added onto that, I'm also using Lightning Surge just to get any cleanup kills, or to use it as a movement tool to get around the map quicker, or to get away from an enemy quicker. Of course, aspects are all personal preference. The core of what makes this build particularly toxic is Penumbral Blast and Cold Snap Grenades. Each of these providing the perfect way to instantly freeze anyone in front of you. As you can see from the gameplay, it's almost like Stasis 1.0 all over again. My super of choice is Nova Bomb, as it pairs perfectly with my Elemental Capacitor Rose, but again, that is personal preference and the super is totally up to you. Now let's get into the second part of this build, which makes it particularly toxic. 100 strength will give my Penumbral Blast a 51-second cooldown. And pairing that with Claw means I constantly have one on hand, ready to use. I'm sure you can all guess what the second priority stat in this build is going to be. Of course, it's Discipline. Giving my Snapbolt grenades a 101 second cooldown with 100 discipline, paired with 100 strength, meaning these two are constantly in rotation, ready to freeze at a moment's notice. The third most important stat of this build is recovery. I again run 100 recovery, allowing me to get my Helion quicker and just to get into the gunfight a lot faster if I'm wounded from a previous gunfight. After that, I would then focus on resilience, and again, I have this at 100. This just ensures that I am the tankiest I can be, and I am damage checking everything in the game so I don't fall over like a wet fart. Now getting into the mods. On my helmet I use 2 targeting mods for my chosen primary weapon, giving me 8 aim assist. 2 loader mods for the same primary weapon. Fastball so I can throw my snapbolt grenades a bit further. On my chest piece, I am running unflinching mods again for my chosen primary of choice. In my legs, I am using recuperation and better already, just so that when I pick up an orb, I'm getting health back immediately. Trust me, this can really throw off other players that aren't anticipating an instant heal. And on my bond, I'm using bomber and outreach mods, just so that I can get my grenade and melee charges up faster if I need to, when picking up an orb of power. My fragments of choice is really what pushes me to a quad 100 build. I run Facet of Awakening for plus 10 resilience, Facet of Courage for plus 10 discipline, Facet of Defiance for plus 10 recovery, Facet of Honour for plus 10 strength. Facet of Protection again for plus 10 strength. And finally, Facet of Sacrifice for another plus 10 in Discipline. Now, just because these fragments boost my stats to quad 100, it doesn't necessarily translate to your build, so please have a play around and see what fragments would work best for you. It is also worth mentioning that if you have the Solstice robes rekindled from a previous Solstice event, you can equip this as an ornament and it will give you plus 1 resilience, which is again another factor on how I've achieved a quad 100 build for Crucible. D2 Armour Picker is going to be your best friend when optimizing for your builds. I touch on this at the end of the video. And there you have it, my Crucible build perfected. With all of these things combined, you can see I've achieved a quad 100 stat spread, which is absolutely insane. If you've made it this far and have found this video useful, a like, comment, and subscribe would be much appreciated. The amount of support we have received so far has been phenomenal, so thank you from us at Good Soup. So D2 Armour Picker, if you haven't used this before, it is a fantastic tool for optimizing your stats, or just for getting the perfect stat spreads that you want for your character. So I mentioned earlier you can get a plus 1 resilience from Solstice rekindled armor ornaments. So if you have that, you can tick that on D2 Armour Picker and it will incorporate that into its stat calculations. So I'm just going to turn on the fragments that I'm using for this build so you can see how this website is used. So I've got Awakening, Courage, Defiance, Honor, Protection, and Sacrifice. I've got my class items selected as my exotic of choice. And going back up to the stat spreads at the top, you can see that it instantly tells me that I have a tier 4 build. And it will show me the armor that I need to achieve these stats. Open the loadout directly in DIM or copy the query and paste it into DIM to get the armor that way. If you're looking for high stat rolled armor, I would suggest going to Failsafe. You can equip a ghost mod for the relevant stat that you require. This acts as focusing for your decrypted armor pieces from Failsafe. So I've equipped a strength mod, so when I pull these gauntlets, the stat spread will prioritize strength. Another great option for high stat rolled armor, although not around for too much longer now, is Solstice. I would 100% recommend grinding some of the gold bounties that you can get from your forge. And that concludes today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and this has been Good Soup.